Imagine if you could drastically reduce your risk of cancer with just a few simple lifestyle changes. What if you could take control of your health and prevent this disease before it even had a chance to take root? Cancer is the second leading cause of death worldwide, and the statistics are staggering. But here's the catch. The traditional ways we've been taught to think about cancer might be fundamentally flawed. What if cancer isn't just a genetic issue, but rather a metabolic disorder that can be prevented and even treated with the right changes in diet, exercise, and lifestyle? In this video, we'll dive into an entirely new perspective on cancer, one that challenges the conventional wisdom and offers a path forward that empowers us all. We'll explore groundbreaking research from scientists like Thomas C. Fried, who questions the established view of cancer as a genetic disease, proposing instead that cancer is driven by metabolic dysfunction. If this theory holds true, it could completely transform how we understand and fight cancer. So why isn't this message more widely known? And what can we do to change the trajectory of cancer treatment and prevention? Stick with us to learn how small, everyday changes could make a world of difference in the fight against this global epidemic.
Part 1. Introduction to Cancer Prevention and the Growing Cancer Epidemic. Cancer is not a disease that appears out of nowhere. It's not a random, cruel stroke of fate that suddenly strikes us. The more we understand cancer, the clearer it becomes that it's not merely a genetic disorder. It can be predicted, prevented, and most importantly, managed if we have the right knowledge. According to the latest statistics from the World Health Organization, or WHO, cancer is now the second leading cause of death globally, only behind heart disease. Every year, over 9 million people die from cancer, and the incidence of cancer continues to rise alarmingly. What's even more concerning is that despite numerous research initiatives and billions in funding, cancer death rates have not seen significant improvement. Why is this happening? Thomas C. Fried, a professor of biology, genetics, and biochemistry, has spent over 30 years studying cancer. He concludes that the cause of cancer is not solely rooted in genetic mutations, as the mainstream theory suggests. Instead, cancer is a metabolic disorder, a malfunction in how our cells process energy. Cancer cells don't rely on oxygen like healthy cells. Instead, they shift to fermentation, an ancient, inefficient energy production method that leads to uncontrollable tumor growth. This is not a new revelation. Decades of research have shown that cancer rates were incredibly low in traditional societies. For example, African tribes that lived according to traditional diets and lifestyles had little to no incidence of cancer. But when modern Western lifestyles, with their processed foods and sedentary habits, entered these societies, cancer began to spread like wildfire. This illustrates the profound influence of lifestyle choices on cancer prevention. One particularly striking example is found in the animal kingdom. Wild wolves rarely get cancer, yet domestic dogs, which have similar genetics, are plagued by the disease. Why this disparity? It all comes down to lifestyle. We too are surrounded by environmental factors that unknowingly increase our risk of developing cancer. So, what is the solution? According to Fried, the answer lies in metabolic therapy, a treatment that targets cancer's reliance on inefficient energy production. This approach doesn't just aim to treat cancer, it also works as a prevention strategy, showing promise even in terminal cases. It's a scientific breakthrough that allows people to regain control over their health, reducing their risk and fear of cancer. As we dive deeper into this topic, we'll uncover new perspectives on cancer. Perspectives that will empower you to take charge of your health and reduce your risk. By making informed choices about diet, exercise, and overall lifestyle, we can drastically reduce the chances of ever having to face cancer.
Part 2. Cancer and the Metabolic Theory, a revolutionary approach. For years, the medical community has operated under the assumption that cancer is primarily a genetic disease, something that's out of our control, encoded in our DNA. But what if this belief is wrong? What if the true culprit behind cancer is not found in our genes, but in how our bodies generate energy at a cellular level? Thomas C.A. Fried, who has spent decades researching cancer, presents a radically different idea. He proposes that cancer is not simply a genetic disease, but a metabolic disorder. In essence, cancer cells shift from using oxygen to using fermentation for energy, a process that is far less efficient and leads to rapid, uncontrolled cell growth. To understand this, we need to look at how our cells usually produce energy. Normally, cells generate energy through a process called oxidative phosphorylation, which requires oxygen. This method is highly efficient, providing the energy our body needs to function. However, cancer cells are different. When they begin to grow uncontrollably, they revert to an ancient mechanism, fermentation. This is the same process our distant ancestors used before oxygen was available on Earth. It's less efficient and produces harmful byproducts like lactic acid, which is excreted by the cancer cells. Fried's research shows that this shift to fermentation is the fundamental problem in cancer. And here's the key. Unlike healthy cells, cancer cells cannot function without this inefficient energy process. The reason why cancer spreads so aggressively is that these cells continue to rely on fermentation even in the presence of oxygen. This means that cancer cells can thrive in environments where normal cells would die. What's even more compelling is the evidence that cancer was extremely rare in societies that lived traditional, active lifestyles. Studies of remote African tribes, for instance, found almost no cases of cancer, suggesting that modern lifestyle changes, particularly the shift to processed foods and sedentary living, play a critical role in the rise of cancer. In the animal world, this theory holds up as well. For example, wild wolves don't get cancer, but domestic dogs, who share similar genetics, do. This difference is largely due to the environment and lifestyle choices made by humans, particularly in how we care for our pets. This new understanding of cancer as a metabolic disorder is not only changing the way we think about the disease, but it also offers a new way forward in both prevention and treatment. Fried argues that by addressing the metabolic dysfunction at the root of cancer, we can shift the paradigm from genetic determinism to metabolic control. And the solution might not be found in new drugs or complicated treatments, but rather in something as simple as changing how we fuel our bodies, from a diet rich in sugars and processed foods to one that supports cellular health and reduces the reliance on fermentation for energy. In the next section, we'll take a deeper look at metabolic therapy and how it works to address the root cause of cancer rather than just its symptoms. Part 3. Metabolic therapy and its role in cancer prevention. The idea that cancer is not merely a genetic disease, but a metabolic disorder changes everything. It shifts the focus away from just targeting the tumor itself and towards addressing the underlying metabolic dysfunction that makes cancer cells thrive. And the answer, as radical as it may seem, lies in something many of us already know: what we eat and how we live. Metabolic therapy is a game-changing approach to cancer prevention and treatment. Unlike traditional treatments, which often involve invasive procedures like chemotherapy and radiation, metabolic therapy aims to restrict the two key fuels that drive cancer cells: glucose and glutamine. By lowering the levels of these fuels, we can essentially starve cancer cells and prevent them from growing out of control. Here's how it works. Normally, our body uses glucose, a form of sugar, as its primary source of energy. Cancer cells, however, are addicted to glucose. They require large amounts of glucose to fuel their rapid, inefficient energy production through fermentation.
In metabolic therapy, the goal is to lower the availability of glucose by adopting a low-carbohydrate diet, or even better, a ketogenic diet. When glucose is reduced, the body shifts to using ketones, a much more efficient and cleaner energy source derived from fat. This forces cancer cells to adapt to a fuel source they can't utilize, while healthy cells thrive on ketones. But it doesn't stop there. Glutamine, another essential fuel for cancer cells, is also targeted in metabolic therapy. Research has shown that glutamine, an amino acid, is crucial for the rapid growth of tumors. By reducing glutamine levels, either through dietary restrictions or specific medications, we can further starve the cancer cells of the resources they need to survive and proliferate. Metabolic therapy works in tandem with the body's natural healing processes. The body is designed to function in a state of nutritional ketosis, the same state our Paleolithic ancestors would have been in when food was scarce and carbohydrate consumption was minimal. This state allows our mitochondria, the energy-producing powerhouses of our cells, to function more efficiently and prevent the cellular damage that leads to cancer. The good news is that metabolic therapy isn't just a theoretical idea. It's already being used to treat real cancer patients with promising results. Many patients with terminal cancers have outlived their expected survival times simply by making these metabolic changes. And for those at high risk of developing cancer, this approach offers a preventative strategy that's natural, non-toxic, and backed by science. Take, for example, the increasing evidence from clinical studies that shows patients who adopt a ketogenic diet experience slower tumor growth and improved overall health. One study even showed that when mice with cancer were placed on a ketogenic diet, their tumors shrank and their overall health improved dramatically. Similarly, case studies of human cancer patients who have embraced metabolic therapy report better quality of life, fewer side effects, and in some cases, complete remission. But why does metabolic therapy work so well where traditional methods fall short? It's because it addresses the root cause of cancer rather than just treating the symptoms. Traditional treatments, such as chemotherapy and radiation, focus on killing cancer cells, but they also harm healthy cells in the process, leading to debilitating side effects. In contrast, metabolic therapy targets the metabolic dysfunction that makes cancer cells unique, allowing healthy cells to remain unharmed. The best part? Metabolic therapy is accessible to everyone. By making simple changes to diet and lifestyle, such as adopting a low-carb or ketogenic diet, incorporating intermittent fasting, and exercising regularly, you can significantly reduce your risk of developing cancer. And for those already diagnosed, metabolic therapy offers a complementary approach to traditional treatments, helping to improve outcomes and quality of life. It's time for a paradigm shift in how we think about cancer. Rather than passively waiting for a cure, we can take control of our health and prevent cancer from ever taking root. And if you are already facing a diagnosis, metabolic therapy offers a promising, non-toxic way to fight back and reclaim your health. In the next section, we'll explore the science behind metabolic therapy in more detail and look at real-world examples of patients who have benefited from this revolutionary approach.
Part 4. The science behind metabolic therapy and its effectiveness. Now that we understand the basic principles behind metabolic therapy, it's important to delve into the science that supports this approach. By understanding how metabolic therapy works at a cellular level, we can see why it is not only effective, but also offers a safer, more natural alternative to traditional cancer treatments. At the heart of metabolic therapy is the concept of energy production. Every cell in our body requires energy to survive and function. Normally, our cells generate energy through a highly efficient process called oxidative phosphorylation, which relies on oxygen. This process occurs in the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, where glucose is broken down with the help of oxygen to produce energy in the form of ATP, or adenosine triphosphate.
But cancer cells are different. As we mentioned earlier, cancer cells don't rely on oxidative phosphorylation for energy production. Instead, they switch to a less efficient primitive form of energy production known as fermentation. This process does not require oxygen and instead relies on glucose, which is broken down into lactic acid, a byproduct that accumulates in the tumor cells. This inefficient form of energy production is a key feature of all cancer cells, regardless of the type of cancer. So why do cancer cells rely on fermentation even when oxygen is present? The answer lies in the dysfunction of the mitochondria in cancer cells. In healthy cells, mitochondria efficiently generate energy from glucose and oxygen, but in cancer cells, the mitochondria are damaged and unable to perform oxidative phosphorylation effectively. As a result, these cells revert to fermentation, which allows them to continue growing, but at a much slower, less efficient rate. This mitochondrial dysfunction is what makes cancer cells unique and vulnerable to metabolic therapy. By targeting the two primary fuels that cancer cells rely on, glucose and glutamine, we can effectively starve the cancer cells and deprive them of the energy they need to survive and multiply. Metabolic therapy works by lowering the levels of glucose and glutamine in the body, making it harder for cancer cells to thrive. The key strategy here is to shift the body's primary fuel source from glucose to ketones. Ketones are produced when the body breaks down fat for energy, and they are a far more efficient and cleaner fuel source than glucose. Unlike cancer cells, healthy cells can easily adapt to using ketones as their primary energy source. This metabolic shift forces cancer cells to rely on a fuel they cannot use, essentially cutting off their lifeline. In addition to dietary changes, metabolic therapy also incorporates intermittent fasting, exercise, and other lifestyle modifications to further restrict glucose and glutamine availability. For example, studies have shown that when patients reduce their carbohydrate intake through a ketogenic diet and fast intermittently, their blood glucose levels drop significantly, and they enter a state of ketosis, where the body burns fat for fuel. This state is highly unfavorable for cancer cells as they cannot utilize ketones for energy in the same way healthy cells do. The effectiveness of metabolic therapy is supported by a growing body of scientific evidence. Studies on mice have shown that a ketogenic diet not only slows down tumor growth, but also improves overall health and extends survival. In humans, case studies have reported improved quality of life, fewer side effects from cancer treatments, and in some cases, complete remission. One such case is that of a woman with brain cancer who, after following a strict ketogenic diet and fasting regimen, experienced a significant reduction in her tumor size. Even more remarkable is the fact that she had been told by her doctors that her cancer was inoperable. After several years on metabolic therapy, her tumor shrank to the point where surgery became a viable option. The benefits of metabolic therapy go beyond just cancer treatment. Research has also shown that this approach can be effective in preventing cancer in high-risk individuals. By adopting a ketogenic diet, exercising regularly, and reducing exposure to cancer-causing toxins, individuals can significantly lower their risk of developing cancer. In fact, many of the lifestyle factors that increase cancer risk, such as poor diet, lack of exercise, and high blood sugar, can be reversed with the right metabolic interventions. One of the most promising aspects of metabolic therapy is its ability to complement traditional cancer treatments. While chemotherapy and radiation can be effective in shrinking tumors, they often come with debilitating side effects that can harm healthy cells. Metabolic therapy, on the other hand, is non-toxic and can be used in conjunction with these treatments to improve outcomes. Studies have shown that when patients are in nutritional ketosis, the effectiveness of chemotherapy increases, allowing for lower doses of the drugs, which reduces the harmful side effects. This is a significant breakthrough in cancer care because it suggests that we don't have to rely solely on traditional treatments that are often harsh and destructive. Instead, by focusing on restoring metabolic balance and giving the body the tools it needs to heal itself, we can improve cancer outcomes and enhance overall well-being. In the next section, we'll explore how simple lifestyle changes, such as adjusting your diet, increasing physical activity, and managing stress, can have a profound impact on your metabolic health and cancer prevention.
Part 5. Lifestyle Changes. How you can take control of your health. Now that we understand the science behind metabolic therapy and how it targets cancer at its roots, let's shift the focus to something incredibly empowering: the role you can play in preventing and managing cancer through lifestyle changes. The truth is, you have more control over your health than you might think, and making small adjustments to your daily habits can significantly reduce your risk of developing cancer. One of the most effective ways to support your body's natural cancer-fighting abilities is through diet. The standard Western diet, rich in processed foods, sugars, and unhealthy fats, has been linked to higher cancer rates. In contrast, a whole food, plant-based diet that is low in refined sugars and carbohydrates has been shown to lower cancer risk and improve overall health. But what makes the biggest difference is shifting to a diet that promotes metabolic health. The ketogenic diet is a powerful example of how dietary changes can affect cancer. By drastically reducing your carbohydrate intake and increasing healthy fats, you can shift your body into a state of ketosis, a metabolic process where your body burns fat for energy instead of glucose. This state is ideal for healthy cells, but it's lethal for cancer cells that rely on glucose for energy. A ketogenic diet has shown promise not only in preventing cancer, but also in supporting cancer patients undergoing treatment. But diet alone isn't enough. Exercise plays a crucial role in maintaining metabolic health. Regular physical activity helps regulate blood sugar, improve insulin sensitivity, and lower inflammation, all of which can reduce cancer risk. Exercise also helps maintain a healthy weight, which is another key factor in preventing cancer. Obesity is one of the leading risk factors for several types of cancer, including breast, colon, and prostate cancer. By staying active and maintaining a healthy weight, you significantly lower your chances of developing these diseases. You don't have to be a professional athlete to reap the benefits of exercise. Even moderate physical activity, such as brisk walking, swimming, or cycling, can have a profound impact on your health. The goal is to move your body regularly and make exercise a part of your lifestyle. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week, as recommended by the World Health Organization. This can be broken down into small, manageable sessions throughout the week. In addition to diet and exercise, managing stress is another key component of cancer prevention. Chronic stress has been linked to a variety of health issues, including cancer. When you're stressed, your body produces higher levels of cortisol, a hormone that can suppress immune function and promote inflammation. Over time, this can create an environment that is more conducive to cancer development. By practicing stress management techniques such as meditation, yoga, deep breathing exercises, and mindfulness, you can reduce your stress levels and improve your overall health. Sleep is another often overlooked factor in cancer prevention. Poor sleep quality has been linked to an increased risk of developing cancer, particularly breast and prostate cancers. When you don't get enough sleep, your body's ability to repair damaged cells and regulate important hormones, such as melatonin, is compromised. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night to support your body's natural healing processes. Good sleep hygiene, such as keeping a consistent sleep schedule and limiting screen time before bed, can also improve sleep quality. Aside from these lifestyle changes, one of the most empowering things you can do for your health is to regularly monitor your metabolic health. One simple tool that can help you do this is the Glucose Ketone Index, or GKI, which measures the ratio of glucose to ketones in your blood. Keeping your GKI in a healthy range, below 2.0,
ensures that your body is in a state of nutritional ketosis, where it's burning fat for fuel instead of glucose. This not only supports metabolic health, but also keeps cancer cells from thriving. You don't have to wait for a cancer diagnosis to take control of your health. By implementing these changes, adopting a low-carb ketogenic diet, staying active, managing stress, getting quality sleep, and monitoring your GKI, you can significantly lower your risk of developing cancer. And if you're already facing a diagnosis, these same lifestyle changes can complement traditional treatments and improve outcomes. Ultimately, it's all about taking responsibility for your health and making choices that support your body's natural ability to heal and fight disease. The path to cancer prevention is not a one-size-fits-all approach, but by prioritizing your metabolic health and making informed, evidence-based decisions, you can reduce your risk and live a longer, healthier life. In the next section, we'll explore the future of cancer treatment and how a shift in our understanding of the disease could lead to better outcomes for millions of people around the world.
Part 6. The future of cancer treatment, a revolutionary shift in thinking. As we move forward in the fight against cancer, it's becoming increasingly clear that we need to rethink the way we approach the disease. For decades, cancer has been treated using the same basic methods: surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. While these treatments have saved countless lives, they often come with severe side effects and are not always effective in the long term. The question we must ask is there a better way? The answer, as it turns out, may lie in a revolutionary shift in how we understand cancer. Rather than focusing solely on treating the symptoms of cancer, such as tumors, we should focus on treating the underlying cause of cancer, which is metabolic dysfunction. The research we've discussed so far has made it clear. Cancer is not just a genetic disease, but a metabolic one. This understanding opens the door to new, non-toxic treatments that could revolutionize cancer care. One of the most promising aspects of this shift is the potential to use metabolic therapy not just as a complementary treatment, but as a primary approach to managing cancer. Imagine a world where cancer patients aren't subjected to harsh chemotherapy and radiation, but instead use dietary and lifestyle changes to manage their condition. This is not just a fantasy, it's a possibility that is already being realized by a growing number of doctors and researchers around the world. Metabolic therapy works by addressing the metabolic dysfunction in cancer cells. By lowering the availability of glucose and glutamine, the two primary fuels for cancer cells, we can slow down or even stop the growth of tumors. And the best part? This approach doesn't harm healthy cells, unlike traditional treatments, which often damage both cancerous and healthy tissue. With metabolic therapy, we can target cancer cells without the devastating side effects that have been associated with chemotherapy and radiation. But the benefits of metabolic therapy extend beyond just treating existing cancers. By focusing on metabolic health and adopting preventative strategies, we can significantly reduce the risk of developing cancer in the first place. The key to prevention lies in lifestyle choices, in particular, diet, exercise, and stress management. By making these choices a part of our everyday lives, we can create an environment in our bodies that is inhospitable to cancer. This shift in understanding cancer is not without its challenges. The medical community, for the most part, still clings to the outdated belief that cancer is solely a genetic disease. Changing this mindset will take time, but it is inevitable. As more evidence comes to light showing the efficacy of metabolic therapy, more doctors and healthcare providers will begin to embrace it as a legitimate treatment option. And as more patients experience the benefits of this approach, the demand for metabolic therapy will only continue to grow. The future of cancer treatment is bright, but it's going to require a collective effort to move beyond the outdated paradigm of genetic determinism. We need to embrace a more holistic, patient-centered approach that focuses on the metabolic health of the body. This is not just about treating cancer, it's about preventing it and improving the quality of life for those who are diagnosed.
This shift in thinking will also have profound implications for how we approach cancer prevention. As we learn more about the role of diet, exercise, and metabolic health in cancer, we will be better equipped to educate the public and empower individuals to take charge of their health. Rather than waiting for a diagnosis, we can begin taking proactive steps today to lower our cancer risk. The role of the medical community will be crucial in this process. Doctors, researchers, and healthcare providers will need to work together to integrate metabolic therapy into mainstream cancer treatment. This will require continued research, education, and collaboration. But the good news is that we're already seeing a growing movement in this direction. As the scientific evidence continues to mount, the hope is that we will see a future where cancer is no longer the terrifying disease it once was. Instead, it will be something we can manage, prevent, and even overcome. And with the right tools, knowledge, and support, each of us has the power to reduce our risk and live a healthier, longer life. In the next section, we'll discuss the role of education and awareness in this revolution and how you can contribute to the changing narratives surrounding cancer treatment and prevention. In the next section, we'll explore the science behind metabolic therapy in more detail and look at real-world examples of patients who have benefited from this revolutionary approach.
Part 7. Conclusion. Empowering you to prevent and manage cancer. As we conclude this journey into understanding cancer from a new perspective, it's clear that the path forward lies in the power we have to control our own health. Cancer, as we've learned, is not just an unavoidable genetic disease, but a metabolic disorder that can be influenced by the choices we make every day. We are not powerless against it. Rather, we have the tools, the science, and the knowledge to significantly reduce our risk and even manage the disease if it arises. The key takeaway from this conversation is that cancer is not a sentence. It's something that can be prevented and in many cases effectively managed by simple lifestyle changes. Adopting a diet low in carbohydrates, rich in healthy fats, and full of whole foods, along with regular physical activity and stress management, can put us on a path to metabolic health, where cancer is less likely to take root. But it doesn't stop with just diet and exercise. Monitoring our metabolic health through tools like the glucose ketone index gives us a powerful way to track our body's state and ensure we're in the optimal zone for preventing cancer. Staying in a state of nutritional ketosis, a process our ancestors naturally adapted to, helps to fuel our healthy cells while depriving cancer cells of their primary fuel sources, making it a key strategy in both cancer prevention and treatment. The good news is that this isn't a path we must walk alone. With the right education, support, and commitment, each of us can take charge of our health and build a strong foundation for cancer prevention. Whether you're healthy now or have been diagnosed, there are actions you can take to empower yourself and improve your outcomes. We've already seen how metabolic therapy has saved lives, reduced tumor growth, and improved quality of life for those dealing with cancer. The next step is for all of us as individuals, communities, and as a global society to adopt these insights into our daily lives. As more people understand the power of metabolic health, we can create a future where cancer is no longer feared, but managed in a way that gives people the chance to live longer, healthier, and more vibrant lives. For those already battling cancer, metabolic therapy provides a light at the end of the tunnel. It offers a non-toxic, non-invasive method of supporting traditional treatments, improving survival rates, and reducing the harsh side effects of chemotherapy and radiation. By making metabolic changes, we can make cancer cells vulnerable while strengthening our own health. This is not just an alternative treatment, it's a hopeful path forward, one that empowers patients to take control over their own healing journey. The future of cancer treatment doesn't have to be a grim one. With the rise of metabolic therapy, we're entering an era where cancer can be both preventable and manageable.
where patients are empowered to make informed choices and live life with fewer limitations. We are on the brink of a medical revolution, and each of us has the ability to be part of that change. So take a step today. Start making those small changes that will build your health foundation. Educate yourself on metabolic health, monitor your glucose and ketone levels, and share this knowledge with others. The more people who understand that cancer is not just a genetic disease, but a metabolic one, the more we can shift the narrative and create a world where cancer is no longer an epidemic. As we move forward, remember, the power to prevent cancer is in your hands. It starts with you, with the decisions you make every day. Don't wait for a diagnosis to take control of your health. Start now and take the first step toward a future where cancer no longer holds the fear it once did.